The atmosphere around this team has completely shifted, and you can feel it building game after game. Not long ago, there were still doubts, still questions about consistency, especially when it came to performances away from home. But now, after stepping into a high-pressure environment against a direct competitor and coming out on top, the conversation feels different. This was not just another win on the schedule. This was a statement moment. Going into a matchup where the stakes were crystal clear, where positioning in the standings was directly on the line, the response was exactly what you want to see from a team that believes it belongs among the elite. What stands out the most is not just the victory itself, but the way it was achieved. Winning one big game can happen for a lot of reasons: momentum, a hot shooting night, or even an off night from the opponent. But following it up and doing it again in the same building against a team that has everything to play for, that tells you something deeper. That tells you about composure, about maturity, and about a group that understands the moment. This was not early season basketball where rotations are loose and urgency is still developing. This was late season intensity, playoff-like energy, and the kind of environment where only serious teams thrive. And that is where the narrative really begins to take shape. Because coming into this stretch, there were still checkpoints that needed to be cleared. Beating a top-tier opponent, proving you can handle pressure on the road, showing that recent success is not just a home court illusion. One by one, those boxes are being checked. The road concerns that once hovered over this team are starting to fade, replaced by confidence built through results. Not just close wins or lucky breaks, but controlled performances against quality opposition. Another key factor in this run is timing. Everything is happening at the right moment. Health is improving, chemistry is building, and roles are becoming more defined. Earlier in the season, there were stretches where key pieces were unavailable, where continuity was impossible to establish. Now, with the core group spending more time together on the floor, the cohesion is starting to show. You can see it in the execution, in the spacing, in the decision-making late in games. There is a rhythm developing, and it is becoming more dangerous with each passing night. The numbers back it up, but more importantly, the eye test confirms it. This is a team that can adjust, that can win in different ways, that does not panic when things get tight. Even when certain players are not at their best, others step up, and the overall structure remains intact. That balance is what separates good teams from true contenders. It is not about perfection every night. It is about maintaining a standard that gives you a chance regardless of the circumstances. And then there is the mental side of it. Winning the first game in a crucial series like that shifts pressure immediately. It forces the opponent into a position where they have to respond, where every mistake feels heavier. Taking advantage of that dynamic is not easy, but this team did exactly that. They did not relax. They did not settle for a split. They went back out and reinforced the message. The kind of mindset is what builds belief not just internally, but across the league. Now, looking at the standings, the situation has become incredibly favorable. Control is everything at this stage of the season, and right now, control is firmly in their hands. With a limited number of games remaining, the margin for error exists, but it is not something to rely on. The opportunity here is to stay focused, to maintain the level that got them to this position, and to avoid unnecessary slips. Because at this point, it is no longer about chasing, it is about protecting what has been earned. There is also a strategic element to consider moving forward. Managing minutes, keeping key players fresh, and knowing when to push versus when to conserve energy becomes crucial. The schedule has been demanding, and the physical toll is real. Smart decisions now can make a significant difference when the postseason arrives. At the same time, maintaining rhythm and competitive sharpness cannot be ignored. It is a delicate balance, but one that experienced teams know how to handle. What makes this stretch even more impressive is the quality of the opponents involved. These are not easy wins against struggling teams. These are victories against some of the best competition available. That context matters. It elevates the significance of the results and strengthens the argument that this is not a temporary surge, but a reflection of true capability. When you consistently perform at a high level against strong teams, the label starts to change. You're no longer a team trying to prove something. You become a team others are trying to figure out. And as this momentum continues to build, the confidence grows with it. Not just confidence in individual talent, but in the system, in the identity that is forming. There's a clear understanding of how they want to play, when to be aggressive, when to slow things down, and how to close games. Those details are often what decide outcomes in the biggest moments, and right now, they're trending in the right direction. And when you zoom out and really take in the bigger picture, what stands out is how quickly the situation has flipped from uncertainty to control. Not long ago, this was a team trying to find stability, trying to figure out rotations, trying to survive stretches where things just did not click. Now, they're dictating the pace of their own season. That shift does not happen by accident. It comes from stacking quality performances, learning from earlier struggles, and most importantly, executing when the stakes are highest. There is something powerful about a team that understands exactly what is in front of them and refuses to let it slip. With the current position in the standings, the path is clear. It is no longer about hoping other teams lose or needing help to climb. It is about taking care of business, game by game, and making sure that everything already earned does not go to waste. That kind of clarity can be dangerous for opponents because it sharpens focus and removes distractions. Every possession, every defensive stop, every late-game decision carries purpose. At the same time, the conversation around this group is starting to change in a major way. Earlier in the season, there were constant debates about whether this team could truly compete with the best. Now, those same questions are being replaced with a different tone. People are starting to recognize the consistency, the resilience, and the ability to rise to the occasion. And it is not just about wins, it is about how those wins are coming together. There is structure, there is discipline, and there's a level of execution that translates when the game slows down. That last part is going to matter more than anything as the postseason approaches. The style of play shifts, possessions become more valuable, and teams are forced into half-court situations where every detail is magnified. And this is where things get even more interesting, because this team is already showing signs of being elite in those exact scenarios. The ability to generate quality looks, to control tempo, and to defend with intensity in key moments is not something you suddenly develop overnight. It is built over time, and right now, it is coming together at the perfect moment. Another layer to this run is the adaptability. Not every game is going to look the same, and not every opponent is going to allow you to play your preferred style. But what has been impressive is the willingness to adjust. Whether it is leaning into defense on a night where shots are not falling, or trusting ball movement to create opportunities when individual scoring is limited, there's a level of trust within the group that keeps everything steady. That trust shows up late in games, when pressure is at its highest and mistakes are the most costly. And then there is the depth of impact across the roster. It is not just one or two players carrying the load every single night. Contributions are coming from different places at different times, and that unpredictability makes it harder for opponents to game plan. One night it might be a scoring burst. The next it could be defensive energy or timely playmaking that shifts momentum. That balance is critical, especially in a long stretch where fatigue can become a factor and adjustments are constant. Looking ahead, the remaining schedule presents opportunities, but also potential traps. Games against teams lower in the standings might seem straightforward on paper, but those are often the ones that demand the most discipline. Complacency can undo everything that has been built, and that is where focus becomes the difference. The top teams understand that no game can be taken lightly, especially when positioning is still being finalized and every win adds another layer of security. There's also the question of how to approach the final stretch strategically. Do you push aggressively to lock everything in as early as possible, or do you begin to manage workloads to ensure peak condition when the playoffs begin? That balance is not easy, and it often defines how successful a team can be when it matters most. The encouraging part is that this group seems aware of that balance. There is urgency, but there is also an understanding of the bigger goal. What cannot be ignored is the momentum. Momentum in basketball is not just about wins and losses. It is about confidence, rhythm, and belief. Right now, all of those elements are trending in the right direction. The team is playing with a sense of purpose, a sense of control, and a belief that they can compete with anyone, anywhere. That kind of mindset is dangerous, especially when backed by results that continue to reinforce it. And as everything continues to unfold, the pressure begins to shift outward. Opponents now have to deal with a team that is not just playing well, but playing with conviction. They are not reacting, they are imposing. They are not hoping things go their way. They are making things happen. That shift changes matchups, it changes expectations, and it changes how every upcoming game is approached. And with that shift in mindset, you start to notice how the little details are being handled with much more precision. Possessions that earlier in the season might have ended in rush shots are now being worked with patience. Defensive rotations are tighter, communication is sharper, and there is a clear commitment to doing the small things that often go unnoticed, but win games. It is that level of attention that separates a team that is simply talented from one that is truly locked in. You can also see how the leadership on the floor is taking shape in these moments. When games get close, when the energy in the arena rises, there's a calm presence that keeps everything under control. That composure does not just impact the final minutes. It influences the entire flow of the game. It allows younger players to settle in. It keeps mistakes from snowballing, and it creates a sense of stability that is invaluable during high-pressure stretches. Another important element is how this group is responding to physical and mental fatigue. The schedule has not been easy, and yet the effort level remains consistent. That tells you a lot about conditioning, preparation, and mentality. Even when legs might be heavy, the execution does not completely fall apart. Instead, they find ways to grind through possessions, to rely on structure rather than just energy, and that is a sign of a team that understands how to win in different circumstances. As the games continue to carry more weight, the intensity is only going to increase. Opponents will come in more prepared, more aggressive, and more desperate, especially those still fighting for positioning. That is where discipline becomes everything. Avoiding unnecessary turnovers, staying locked in defensively, and maintaining focus for the full duration of the game will be critical. Because at this stage, even small lapses can swing momentum quickly. There's also a growing sense that this team is beginning to embrace the expectations that come with success. Instead of shying away from the spotlight, they are leaning into it. They are playing with confidence, but also with an understanding that nothing has been secured yet. That balance between confidence and urgency is what keeps a team sharp. It prevents complacency while still allowing players to trust in what they are building together. And as the season continues to wind down, every performance adds another layer to their identity. Every win reinforces belief. Every challenge overcome strengthens their resolve, and every adjustment made prepares them for what is coming next. The foundation is being built in real time, and with each passing game, it becomes more and more clear that this is a group that is not just aiming to compete, but fully expects to make noise when the moment arrives. Before we continue, we ask that you leave a like and subscribe to the channel so you won't miss any exclusive Lakers updates. Moving on. The trade market is beginning to simmer, and one intriguing rumor is quietly gaining traction around the league. Cam Thomas could be on his way to Hollywood, potentially giving the Los Angeles Lakers a much-needed offensive spark off the bench. League insiders have started to whisper about the possibility of a young scorer becoming available, and naturally, the Lakers' front office is believed to be monitoring the situation closely. Known for his ability to create his own shot and pile up points in a hurry, Thomas fits a profile that Los Angeles has lacked in recent rotations, a fearless bucket-getter capable of shifting momentum in a matter of minutes. While nothing concrete has surfaced, the idea itself is enough to stir excitement among fans and analysts alike. The Lakers have leaned heavily on their stars for production, and adding a player like Thomas could ease that burden significantly. His aggressive scoring mentality could transform the second unit into a more dynamic and unpredictable force, something that has often been missing during crucial stretches. Of course, questions remain about fit, consistency, and what it would take to bring him in. Would Los Angeles be willing to part with valuable depth or future assets? And how would Thomas adapt to a system that demands both discipline and defensive commitment? These uncertainties are part of what makes this rumor so compelling. It's a gamble with clear upside. Around the league, executives are always looking for undervalued talent that can explode in the right environment. In Hollywood, under the bright lights and constant pressure, Thomas could either flourish into a key contributor or struggle to find his role. That duality is exactly what keeps this speculation alive. For now, it remains just that, speculation. But as the market heats up, don't be surprised if this storyline gains momentum. In a league driven by bold moves, pairing a young scorer with a team chasing immediate impact might be too tempting to ignore. Stay informed exclusively about Los Angeles Lakers news. Subscribe to our channel and hit the like button to keep receiving daily updates. Also, share your opinion on the news in the comments, as your contribution is crucial for the Lakers. Stay tuned for the next video.